The Lost World. The bridge of the wandering path fell silent as the scanner results came through. Captain Vector of the Meridian Coalition stared at the display, his 4 eyes widening in disbelief. The planet rotating on the holographic projection matched every detail from the ancient archives. A blue-green world, tilted at 23.4 degrees, orbiting a yellow G-type star. 1 large moon. Liquid water covering most of the surface. Impossible, whispered his science officer, a thin Quellan named Riss. Her antennae trembled. The Sol system was supposed to be empty. The collapse happened 12,000 years ago. Vector's clawed hand gripped the armrest of his command chair. Every species in the galaxy knew the story. Humanity had once spread across thousands of worlds, building an empire that touched every corner of known space. Then came the silence, a catastrophic event that severed all connections between human worlds. The colonies survived, evolved, mixed with other species. But Earth, the birth world, was believed destroyed. Life signs? Vector asked. Riss worked her console frantically. Reading. Captain, I'm detecting over 8 billion individual signatures. Complex structures across every continent. Electromagnetic transmissions. Nuclear energy signatures. Chemical propulsion systems in orbit. They're advanced, another officer noted. No, Riss corrected, her voice shaking. They're thriving. Captain, according to geological data, their civilization rebuilt from scratch less than 10,000 years ago. They went from stone tools to spaceflight in that time. The bridge crew exchanged glances. The average species took 40 to 50,000 years to reach space travel after developing agriculture. The fastest on record was the Drexians at 22,000 years. Humanity had done it in 10. Vector stood, his scaled frame towering over the command platform. Send a message to Coalition Command. We found Earth. And it's inhabited. 3 weeks later, the Coalition Assembly gathered on the station orbiting Meridian Prime. Representatives from 67 species filled the chamber, all descendants of the ancient human diaspora or allies who had joined them over millennia. High Chancellor Mora, a silver-haired woman whose ancestors had fled Earth 12,000 years ago, stood at the central podium. Her hands trembled as she held the data tablet. Confirmed reports indicate Earth's population has no knowledge of the old empire, she announced. They have myths and legends, fragmented stories that might be cultural memories, but nothing concrete. They believe they evolved alone. How do we approach them? Asked Ambassador Thran, his rocky Corthian features impassive. They may not even believe they're part of our history. They're dangerous, warned General Crix, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming. Captain Vector's report indicates they've developed nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, and genetic engineering independently. Without guidance. Without restraint. Or, Chancellor Mora replied, they're exactly what we've been searching for. She activated the holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, cities of glass and steel, orbital stations, exploratory probes reaching toward Mars. They rebuilt from nothing, Mora continued. While we had the advantage of inherited knowledge from the colonies, they started over completely. And in a fraction of the time it took any of us, they reached for the stars again. This isn't just about finding our lost homeworld. This is about finding people who carry something we may have lost. What's that? Thran asked. Hope. The decision was made to send a single diplomatic vessel. Nothing military. Nothing that could be perceived as a threat. Commander Lyra Chen volunteered to lead the mission. She was half-human herself, descended from the Tau Ceti colony. She had studied Earth languages, prepared for years for the possibility, however remote, that the homeworld might still exist. Now, standing on the bridge of the olive branch as it approached Earth's orbit, she felt her heart pounding. Detecting multiple tracking systems locking onto us, reported the pilot. No weapons fire. They're watching. Open all frequencies, Lyra ordered. Broadcast the greeting in every Earth language we've recovered from the archives. She took a breath and began speaking in English, then Mandarin, then Spanish, cycling through dozens of languages. People of Earth, we come in peace. We are the descendants of humans who left your world thousands of years ago. We have searched for you across the stars. We have found you at last. We wish to speak. We wish to welcome you home. For long minutes, silence. Then a crackling transmission filled the bridge. Unidentified vessel, this is United Earth Defense Command. The voice was calm, professional, tinged with barely suppressed excitement. We copy your message. Permission to approach is granted. We have many questions. Lyra smiled, tears forming at the corners of her eyes. We have answers, she replied. And we have waited 12,000 years to deliver them. As the olive branch descended toward the coordinates Earth Command provided, Lyra looked at the blue world growing larger in the viewport. Humanity's children had come home. And their parents had been waiting all along. First contact. The landing site was a massive complex in Geneva, surrounded by military vehicles and thousands of cameras. Lyra watched through the viewport as crowds gathered beyond the security perimeter, humans holding signs, waving flags, some crying, others cheering. They're not afraid, noted her co-pilot, a Quellan named Jevic. Why would they be? Lyra replied softly. They've been dreaming of this moment since they first looked up at the stars. The olive branch touched down with barely a whisper. The boarding ramp extended, and Lyra stepped out first, her delegation behind her, representatives from a dozen different species, all carrying human DNA mixed with generations of adaptation to other worlds. A line of officials waited at the bottom of the ramp. At the center stood an older woman in a dark blue uniform, her posture military straight, her eyes bright with emotion. Commander Chen, the woman said, extending her hand. I'm Secretary General Amara Okafor. On behalf of Earth, welcome home. Lyra took her hand, feeling the warmth of a gesture unchanged across 12 millennia. Secretary General. Thank you. Though I think, we should be welcoming you home. You're the ones who stayed. Okafor's composure cracked for just a moment. We didn't know we'd been left behind. The conference room was designed to accommodate a dozen different body types. Earth's engineers had worked around the clock to prepare it based on specifications the olive branch provided. Lyra projected the historical archives onto the table, holographic images of ancient Earth, the golden age of the first expansion, then the dark times of the collapse. We don't know exactly what happened, she explained. The silence happened over a period of about 50 years. Jump gates failed. Communication networks went dark. Ships that left for Earth never returned. By the time the colonies realized something was catastrophically wrong, there was no way back. The routes were lost. Okafor leaned forward, studying an image of ancient spacecraft. And you've been searching all this time? Not continuously, admitted Ambassador Thren, his voice rumbling. For the first few thousand years, the colonies struggled to survive. Many failed. Some descended into barbarism and had to rebuild from scratch, like Earth did. But about 6,000 years ago, when we'd stabilized, the coalition formed. Finding Earth became our shared mission. The galaxy must be enormous, noted Dr. James Park, Earth's chief xenobiologist. How did you finally locate us? Jevic's antennae twitched, a Quellan expression of satisfaction. We developed probability mapping based on ancient star charts. Combined with archaeological evidence from the oldest colonies, we narrowed it down to approximately 40,000 candidate systems. We've been systematically checking each one. You were number 37,214, Lyra added with a slight smile. A younger Earth diplomat, Marcus Webb, spoke up. So the rest of the galaxy, they're all human colonies? Or descended from them? Not all, Lyra said. But most. During the expansion, humans were exceptionally social. They formed partnerships, alliances, families with the other species they encountered. The Quellans, the Corthians, the Drexians, all of us have some human DNA now. The galaxy is more integrated than your ancestors could have imagined. And those who aren't human descended? Okafor asked carefully. How do they view us? Thren's rocky face crinkled in what might have been a smile. With respect. And perhaps a little fear. The tour of Earth took 3 days. Lyra's delegation visited New York, Tokyo, Nairobi, Sao Paulo, cities that pulsed with energy and life. Everywhere they went, massive crowds gathered. Humans reached out to touch the visitors, to shake hands, to embrace them. This is unusual, Jevic whispered to Lyra as a child offered him a drawing she'd made of his ship. Most species are more cautious with first contact. Humans are different, Lyra replied, watching as Thren knelt down to accept a flower from an elderly woman. They always have been. That evening, Earth's leaders hosted a formal dinner. The conversation ranged from technology to culture to philosophy. Dr. Park was particularly interested in how the various colonies had evolved. The Tau Ceti humans developed enhanced respiratory systems for their higher gravity world, Lyra explained. The Drexians, human insectoid hybrids, gained collective consciousness capabilities. The Meridians developed extended lifespans and regenerative abilities. But you all still consider yourselves human? Park asked. We consider ourselves human descendants, Lyra said carefully. But yes, at our core, we carry the same fundamental traits. We bond across species lines easily. We adapt rapidly. We're curious, sometimes recklessly so. We protect those weaker than ourselves. We dream of tomorrow. Okafor set down her glass. Commander, I need to ask directly. Why are you really here? What does the Coalition want from Earth? The room fell silent. Every species representative looked at Lyra. She took a breath. Honestly? We came because we needed to know if humanity's hearts still beat. For 12,000 years, we've built a civilization based on ideals we inherited from old Earth: cooperation, diversity, progress. But we've wondered if those ideals were just pretty myths, stories we told ourselves about a golden age that never existed. She gestured out the window, where the lights of Geneva sparkled. But seeing Earth, seeing how you rebuilt from nothing, how you developed the same values independently, it proves something. It proves those ideals aren't myths. They're who we are. Who we've always been. And now? Okafor asked. Lyra smiled. Now we offer you a choice. The galaxy has a place for you, if you want it. The Coalition would welcome Earth's membership. You'd have access to our technology, our knowledge, our protection. But there's no pressure. If you need time, we'll wait. We've waited 12,000 years. We can wait longer. Marcus Webb laughed softly. Commander, with all due respect, have you met humans? We've been dreaming of the stars since we lived in caves. You think we're going to say no? Around the table, Earth's leaders smiled. Okafor raised her glass. To homecoming. And to whatever comes next. To tomorrow, Lyra echoed, and the assembly drank together. Outside, fireworks began exploding over Lake Geneva, Earth's celebration visible from orbit, a declaration to the galaxy that humanity was whole again. The galaxy awakens. 6 months after first contact, the Coalition Summit convened on Earth for the first time in galactic history. The Geneva complex had been expanded with both Earth and Coalition technology working in harmony. Delegates from 300 worlds filled the massive chamber, a number that would have been unthinkable before Earth's rediscovery. Species that had avoided Coalition politics for centuries suddenly wanted to witness humanity's homeworld for themselves. Chancellor Mora stood at the podium, but all eyes were on the Earth delegation seated in the front row. Secretary-General Okafor sat beside Dr. Park and Marcus Webb, now Earth's official ambassador to the Coalition. 6 months ago, we were incomplete, Mora began. Today, we are whole. Earth has chosen to join the coalition, and in doing so, has reminded us all why we reach for the stars. The chamber erupted in applause, clicks, chirps, vocal cheers in dozens of languages. But not everyone was celebrating. In a private chamber after the ceremony, Lyra found herself facing General Crix and a delegation of military leaders from the outer colonies. "Commander Chen, we need to discuss the Earth situation," Crix said, his cybernetic eye glowing. "They're integrating too quickly. Too successfully." Lyra crossed her arms. "That's a problem." "It could be." A reptilian admiral named Seth leaned forward. "In 6 months, Earth has assimilated technology that took us centuries to develop. Their scientists are already improving our designs. Their diplomats have negotiated trade agreements with species that barely speak to us. Their cultural exports are spreading across the coalition faster than any virus. They're human," Lyra said simply. "This is what we do." "That's what concerns us," Crix replied. "Earth has 8 billion people. The entire rest of the coalition, across 300 worlds, has approximately 40 billion. Earth represents a fifth of the human population, concentrated on one world, with no cultural dilution from thousands of years of separate development." Seth nodded. "They're undeniably influential. In a single generation, they could reshape coalition politics entirely." Lyra studied them carefully. "What are you asking me?" "We're asking you to consider limits," Crix said. "Quotas on Earth immigration to other worlds. Restrictions on their technology sharing. Something to ensure balance." "No." The word hung in the air like a blade. "Commander," Crix began. "No," Lyra repeated. "General, do you know what I've learned in 6 months working with Earth? They don't see themselves as superior. They see themselves as late. They apologize for being lost. They thank us for finding them. They're not trying to dominate, they're trying to catch up." She activated a holographic display, showing data streams. "Last month, Earth's agricultural scientists shared drought-resistant crop variants with the Aridian colonies, for free. 2 weeks ago, their medical researchers cracked a genetic disorder that's plagued the Meridians for generations. Yesterday, I watched Earth's ambassador spend 3 hours teaching Quellan children how to play basketball." Lyra turned off the display. "If you're afraid of Earth's influence, you're afraid of the best parts of humanity. The parts we thought we'd lost." That evening, Lyra walked through Geneva's old quarter with Ambassador Webb. The narrow streets were crowded with humans and aliens alike, sharing food, music, stories. "You stood up for us today," Webb said quietly. "Word spreads fast in the diplomatic corps." "I stood up for what's right," Lyra replied. "Though I understand their concerns. Earth is intense." Webb laughed. "Is that a polite way of saying we're overwhelming?" "You're alive," Lyra said. "You haven't had 12,000 years to become cynical. You still believe in possibilities." They stopped at a small plaza where a group of children, human, Quellan, and Corthian, played together, their laughter echoing off ancient stone walls. "Can I tell you something?" Webb asked. "When we first learned we weren't alone, there was a moment of existential crisis. All of human history, our struggles, our achievements, suddenly we were just one branch of a much larger tree. And now? Now we realize that makes everything we did matter more, not less. We proved that given the same starting conditions, humanity will always choose to reach upward. That's not arrogance. That's hope." A Quellan child ran up to them, antennae waving excitedly. "Ambassador Webb. Commander Chen. Come see. We built a model of the olive branch." They followed the child to where a group had constructed an elaborate replica from cardboard and recycled materials. It was charmingly imperfect, but the details showed real care. "It's beautiful," Lyra said, kneeling down. "When we grow up, we're all going to be explorers," a human girl announced. We're going to find more lost worlds together. Webb glanced at Lyra. See? That's the real Earth influence. Not domination. Inspiration. 3 years later, the first joint Earth Coalition expedition launched from Geneva Spaceport. The New Horizons was a marvel of combined engineering, Earth's innovation married to Coalition experience. Its mission, to explore the uncharted regions beyond the Orion Spur, searching for other lost colonies, other civilizations, other possibilities. Captain Vector commanded the vessel, with Commander Lyra Chen as his first officer. The crew was diverse, humans from Earth, humans from a dozen colonies, Quellans, Corthians, Drexians, and species that had never worked together before. As the ship prepared for its first jump, Vector stood on the bridge, looking at the blue world falling away behind them. You know what history will say about this? He asked Lyra. That we found Earth? No. Vector's 4 eyes gleamed. That Earth found us. That when the mother world returned, it didn't come back to rule, it came back to remind us who we were meant to be. The jump drive charged, space folding around them. All stations ready, Lyra reported. Course plotted for the Andromeda approach. Vector smiled. Then let's see what's out there. Engage. The New Horizons leaped forward into the unknown, carrying with it the dreams of 300 worlds and the unshakable spirit of a species that had never stopped reaching for tomorrow. Behind them, Earth spun in the darkness, no longer lost, no longer alone. And across the galaxy, humanity's descendants looked up at the stars and remembered. We are explorers. We are builders. We are dreamers. We are human. And our story is just beginning.